In life, audio is one of the most important things for gaming, for listening to music, for listening
previous
to
positions that we've taken.
Our friends at Patriot sent us the V380 headset. These headsets sound amazing with their virtual 7.1 surround sound audio, their amazing microphone, and all the amazing other features that the software provides for the headset. Check out my review of the V380 to find out more. You're gonna find so many things you love and a few you might hate. But anyway, let's keep going. All right, here we are again, the Viper V380 7.1 virtual surround sound RGB gaming headset. I really do like the virtual surround sound headsets. Depending on the software, again, majorly dependent on the software, they can sound amazing. I'm pretty sure these will, but we'll find out for sure in this video. All right, Viper Gaming, ergonomic design, 7.1 surround sound, detachable microphone, which is awesome because if the cable or whatever, if they become broken, you can always get a separate set. Downloadable software, noise canceling microphone, speak with purpose. That's definitely awesome. And then as I mentioned earlier, RGB, 16.8 million color illumination. Kind of going over the same over here along the side. Nothing much over here. Just kind of showing you the headphones. And then some of the feature specs and all that good stuff right up here in a bunch of different languages. Let's go ahead, open it up. All right, so the headphones inside of this nice black foam. And I'm just going to move this for right now. I'm gonna set this aside just for now. Maybe I can't. I'll take the foam out because everything's along the bottom. All right, and I'm just going to feed this through here just for right now. I want to focus on what's on this box first. All right, starting off, we have the two Viper stickers, pretty classic of them. And then we have the PV387U MXEK, that's the model number for these headphones. The user guide, actually this just goes over the contents, and a basic user guide over here, how to connect it, and a 2-year limited warranty, incredibly important. And then here is the noise canceling microphone. You can see right here, this is kind of like, feels like wax over here, but it is smooth. And then you can see kind of ribbed over here, but it doesn't feel ribbed. And it is movable like that, although it doesn't stay where you move it. It's not a horrible thing. It'll do it to the essentials. So like over here, over here, over there, just not to extremes like this. And then this is where it would connect to the headset. Over here, it is a omnidirectional microphone. So we could see that right along here. And again, these are noise canceling with the ENC. It actually has within it 2 separate microphones. That way it can distinguish between background and foreground noise and kind of remove that. This has a frequency response of 100 Hertz up to 10 kilohertz with an SNR of 60 dB, a sensitivity of -42 and give or take 3 dB, and again, connects to the headphones right over here. So not a whole lot there. I'll keep this out for now. So I'll put this aside and we can focus on the headset. So first off, these are incredibly thick, or the braiding is incredibly thick. This is a 2.1 meter or 6.9 feet long cable. You can see that right there. Again, this is braided and it does come with this so that you can wrap it up nicely and just wrap it all together. And again, it is a nice, long and very thick cable. It does have a gold end over here, though I'm sure it's not truly gold. It is USB 2.0. And then here are the headphones. It kind of reminds me of older sort of style of Samsung or Sony headphones. The old design over here, but still I like the way it looks. These utilize hi-fi 53 millimeter neodymium drivers for clearer bass levels, clearer overall audio, but I think at that level it's going to focus more on the bass level, which on some headphones can be a little overwhelming, and then on some others are completely gone. So very curious to see, because they're typically 50. This is 53. And as I was mentioning over here, these are hinged over headphones. So you can see that there. And they're kind of boxy, and I don't mind that because your ears, they're not circles. They're kind of rounded off over here and they're elongated. So I feel like my ear is gonna fit perfectly right in here. And then you can put your fingers right in there even so that you can feel it's not just stuck all the way in there. There's actually some depth in there and it does feel nice. Feels sturdy as well. And of course, you can do that. Now this is using protein leather right up here. Wow, and it feels nice and cushy. So protein leather is synthetic. No animals were harmed in the making of this leather. Okay, then on the ear cups, you can adjust the volume up and down. Then you can mute or unmute the microphone. And then you can turn on and off the LEDs. Over here is where you would plug in the microphone. So just right there, and you're good to go. Now back to the RGB, it has a full spectrum, as I mentioned before, 16.8 million colors. So that's going to be beautiful, and we'll get into that in a little bit. The frequency response on the headphones themselves is 20 Hertz through 20 kilohertz. An impedance of 64 ohms at 1 kilohertz, which is of course greater for better sound quality. And it has a sensitivity of 106, give or take 3 dB at 1 kilohertz. As I mentioned, this is 7.1 surround sound, so I'm loving that already. Some of you may like it, some of you may not, but definitely we'll go over that in here with a USB interface. And this is obviously not a wireless headset, so you don't have to worry about batteries or anything along those lines, along with a 2-year warranty. Now let's go ahead and connect this to a computer real quick. All right, so we'll start off with the simple. Every time, I'm looking right at it. All right, the simple, and then after plugging it in, the RGB lighting will start immediately on the headphones. Nothing else changes over here. That's okay. All right, so now that we've plugged it in, we saw the RGB light up. So now let's go ahead and install the software real quick, which is the drivers. Also to mention, since this is USB, it has its own sound card. So you can uninstall the Realtek or whatever onboard audio you may have, disable it in the BIOS, and then install this and you'd have sound again. If you remember during the unboxing, I showed you that those ear cup holes, they're not round. Putting them on, my ears didn't go, they stayed just like this. So it is a lot more comfortable because your ears don't have to scrunch up. So one thing I thought I'd mention, but let's keep going. So open up a browser and we'll open up a tab and we'll go ahead and go to this site. I'll link it down below and scroll down a little tiny bit. Read through it, of course, if you'd like. Then under the download link, we'll go ahead and click V380 software and open that up once it downloads. Double click on the software, and because we're inside of a zip and it's only a single file, it's safe to run. Then we'll click more info and run anyway. Next, 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 install. And we're installing a driver for a piece of hardware. So next, finish. We'll restart later and finish. Now, when software asks you to restart, I recommend finishing it and then restarting. Don't finish it and then install 18 other things and then restart later, because when it asks you to restart, that means it's going to be making either a registry change or another change inside of a file that Windows is actively using. If you install one and then another, you could be affecting one of those other installs, a setting that it changes. So if it asks you to restart, come back, then install the next piece, and so on. It only takes a few seconds. Now we'll come over here, right click, shut down or sign out, and restart. All right, now that we're back in Windows, the Viper software opens up. Gonna go ahead and take it out just for right now so that you can see what the RGB portion looks like. So we're starting off under LED, so I can uncheck, and that turns it off. Check it again, and it turns it back on. We're under the streaming mode, so I should be able to, and actually that's not changing here, but if I come to constant lighting mode, there you can see as I'm going through it, all of the lighting changes and changing colors as well. And then of course we can change brightness also, turning it completely off, and then right up again over here and raising it. Now, it's a constant light, so we can't touch the speed. But if we come under breathing mode, my favorite, here we can touch the speed. So we're at the max. We'll put it at medium. So now that's a little bit lower. And we'll put it at the lowest. All right. And I'm gonna go ahead, bump it up to the highest. And then here we can change the color, of course. And of course, we can also just change it right over here. And we can even get as granular as changing the numbers over here under RGB and number or pound over here, changing those values. Neon mode is just a neon mode, and we can change that over here. Under neon mode, we cannot change the brightness. We're stuck to what it has. I have autofocus on, which is why this is kind of changing things, making it look blurry. And rhythm mode. So breathing is my favorite. Rhythm mode is another one. So here, if we choose cradles, for example, it's going to the beat of that music. So sounds really nice, and it looks really nice. Well, it's gonna sound however the song sounds like. I don't know what this sounds like. Now, one thing is I have the volume at 100% in Windows, but this volume rocker and that volume rocker are completely different. So if I'm at 100% here, I raised it 100% here, and now I have 100%. You can hear how great that sounds. I don't even have them on. I can hear it's very pronounced. It's a great sound, and it doesn't sound faded out or anything, or because it's at 100%. It sounds perfect, actually. So now if I drop it here, I'm just dropping it for the headphones, not for Windows. Now, a very different thing maybe for you is if I drop it down to 50 here in Windows, it's 50 in Windows, it's still whatever I left it here. So now I only have 50% of that audio here. If I raise it to 100, this is 100, but 100% of that 50% in Windows. So maybe a little safety precaution for your ears. So I'm gonna bump it to 100. And this was already at 100, so I thought I'd show that to you. One sec. Okay, so it's incredibly loud, but it sounds great. His S's, his F's, his T's are very pronounced, and that's gonna go with a woman or a man. So it sounds great. The xylophone, you hear him plum, plim, plum, 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 plum. It sounds great, sounds sharp. The bass sounds great. I like metal. So if we come under here, we'll go under metal. Making sure it's still free over here. This makes me happy. So we're at 100. I'm at 100 here. All right, sorry, a little longer than I thought I would have been. But the metal sounds great, the bass sounds great, everything sounds great on these headphones. Enough with that. So real quick, we're gonna go through all of these settings, and then we're gonna do some more testing. So volume control, here is where you can adjust the microphone, the volume for the microphone, and the volume for the headphones. And you can actually detach this so that you can individually raise or lower. Maybe you have your left ear, you can't hear as well, and you can compensate over here. That's kind of nice. Equalizer, now this is, let's go ahead, put this back in here. And we're gonna come back under cradles. So now if I turn this on, okay, right now it's gonna be the regular audio because on was default. So if I switch to, whoa. This makes a tremendous difference. Typically, when you install equalizer software and you play with it, you don't hear that much of a difference. But it's very pronounced in this software. Man. So this sounds beautiful. Meadow and Default are my favorite for obvious reasons. But let's go ahead and close out of here. Voice clarity, you can enable or disable that here. And this is going to be important in a second, but we'll show you in a sec. 7.1 channel. By default, it comes disabled. I enabled it, and it actually makes a tremendous difference even on things that aren't using surround sound. It makes it sound a little clearer. So I enabled that by default already. ENC is going to help ambient noise reduction, and we'll get into that in one sec. Magic soundbar. Let's get into the volume control and all that stuff now. So we'll go for voice. We'll open up the sound recorder. Obviously, I've been doing a lot of testing already. So as it is right now, this is everything basically default other than surround sound, but you're not going to hear that. So I'll stop that. As it is right now, this is everything basically default other than surround sound, but you're not going to hear that. All right, and that sounds good. I like the way that sounds, nothing wrong with it. And coming back under here, now, if I want the microphone to be louder, I don't like doing 100%, but let's do 100. So now I have the microphone at 100%, and I want to see how that sounds like. So now I have the microphone at 100%, and I want to see how that sounds like. So let's go back here. I want to play that. As it is right now, this is everything basically default other than surround sound, but so now I have the microphone at 100%, and I want to see how that sounds like. Anyway, coming back over here, we'll just drop that to 90, and let me just, okay, now we're at 90%. It shouldn't sound incredibly different. Okay, now we're at 90%. It shouldn't sound incredibly different. And my voice, actually, let me pronounce my S's and then my T's. So what's the matter with you? Let me pronounce my S's and then my T's. So what's the matter with you? That sounds great. All right, so now coming under equalizer, we've already gone under that. Voice clarity, I don't know if that's going to affect it too much. Let's see. So does this make my voice sound any clearer, or does it make it sound kind of echoey, tinny? So does this make my voice sound any clearer, or does it make it sound kind of echoey, tinny? Let me pronounce my S's and then my... So does this make my voice... That sounds normal to me. Noise rejection strength. Now that's if I have noise in the background, and let's see, do I have ENC? This is where you would enable the ENC ambient noise reduction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this back to where it was. I'm going to play an audio clip.
So you're running out of storage space.
I'm in the background talking in one of my videos. I don't want to get a copyright strike. So right now ENC is disabled and voice clarity, I haven't played with it. So let's see how that sounds. So right now ENC is disabled and voice, so I can hear myself in the background. I'm kind of getting a headache now. So let's enable it. So now with the ENC enabled, I should not hear much of my background voice in the background of my voice.
Pictures and everything right onto this drive. You can even make it your new gaming drive. But anyway, let's get to it. So I'm going to show you this process first outside of a computer, because inside of a computer you're kind of cramped and it might be...
So right now I want to see how this sounds. I am talking into my microphone. I moved it a little closer and I have my voice in the background.
So first off, we're going to grab our SSD, and I do want to mention the entire process we're going to be using on this SSD
and I have my voice in the background.
is going to be the same on a
Okay,
mechanical hard
so
drive.
now I'm going to come into voice clarity. I'm going to fully max out noise rejection. So now with ENC enabled and I have the voice rejection set to 100%, can you hear my voice in the background as I'm talking around? I'm talking about something about SATA and hard drives and everything. So let's see how that sounds.
it also looks like a little
Now with
bell,
ENC enabled
So
and I
then
have the
we're going
voice
to grab
rejection set to 100%, can you hear my voice in the background as I'm talking around? I'm talking about something about SATA and hard drives and everything. Let's see how that sounds.
Okay, so I can hear the noise filtration, the noise reduction system, and it sounds great. Now, it kind of makes my voice sounds more like it's in a fishbowl, a lot more controlled. I can hear this voice a little tiny bit, definitely not as pronounced as before. So it's doing a great job at it. I'm gonna go ahead and disable that and this, because we're not gonna be using that, but that's an option. Now, the funny thing is, we'll go ahead and enable this. I'm going to enable T-Rex.
So right now, my voice should sound like I'm a T-Rex. Let's see how that sounds. So right now, my voice should sound like I'm... That sounds pretty cool. Let's see how that sounds. Alright. Now, my voice
should sound like I'm a rubber ducky. So, as a rubber ducky, I'm kind of squeaking around in the bathtub, going up and then going down as the tide comes in. As a rubber ducky, I'm kind of squeaking around in the bathtub, going up and then going down as the tide comes in. Okay? And then now we'll do, oops, let's minimize this. We'll
do a male, as that shows. And being that I am a male, doing a male's voice, I wonder how this is going to make me sound. And being that I am a male, doing a male's voice, I wonder how this is going to make me sound. Puberty ×2. And then
coming under female. Now, how am I going to sound as a female? This is probably going to be incredibly creepy. How am I going to sound as a female? This is probably going to be incredibly creepy. Yeah, that was kind of creepy. Anyway, so now we've gone over all of that. Let me verify the... Okay, so 7.1 is enabled. Let's go ahead and try a game real quick. Let's try Call of Duty. Alright, in Call of Duty, we'll come into settings. We'll go under audio. And so, default system. We'll go ahead and specifically select Viper Gaming Headset. And even though it shows stereo, it should be 7.1 surround sound, but it's virtual, so you won't physically see that. And then voice chat, we're not going to be talking in there, but you've already heard what my voice sounds like. So let's go ahead and play real quick.
Infected. Sable 1, one of your own is infected. Your objective is simple: survive.
stay in Claymore.
Alright, one of my own is infected. This is the first time I've played this type before.
Shoot me again.
Omichichi, target down.
Alright. So captured.
I'm reloading.
Nice.
On your six.
Ah! He got me.
Hunter 1, half the enemy's infected.
Alright, so
Keep hunting.
it was only a few seconds I can play, but I can already hear that when you turn off virtual... I gotta turn that off.
When you turn off virtual surround sound, that heightened sense that you kind of get with, and it's the only way I can put it, you kind of get a heightened sense of everything that's around you with virtual surround sound. When you turn it off, everything kind of sounds a little muffled. Let me try one more time. So, anyway, enough of that. So it definitely does sound a lot more clear with, or a lot louder, and because of that louder, typically it would sound a lot more faded, because when you export that loud, you don't hear as well. But here it sounds incredibly clear, and it's kind of hard how to word that out, that it just sounds great. So one more second. So coming back to the desktop, under volume control, again, this is where it's going to help a lot if you're soft-spoken like me, and the voice clarity is going to help a lot as well. Of course, when it's enabled, things will get stuck if they're not enabled. And then also, if you're recording, if you come under the recording, click here, change default settings. You go under input. Here you can play with that sound as well, that level. By default, I think it comes on over here at default. I raised it up to 90 prior to testing because my voice, since I'm very soft-spoken, a lot of times I need to raise it. And then with the mic so far away from my mouth, that helps a ton as well. You want to keep it right over here so that it sounds good and you don't get all the breathing and everything. So the headphones, they look very nice. They're not incredibly futuristic looking. To me, they're actually kind of older looking, original radio style kind of looking. They look nice. They're very sturdy. As you can see, the construction feels nice. The RGB lighting can be turned on and turned off with that LED button right here. And then you can cycle through that as well. And then the microphone can be turned on and off as well with this microphone button. Now, what I was showing you before with the software. So for example, just putting it on because it's easier. I'm going to switch the microphone. I'm going to switch to LED. We're going to go to constant light mode. And I select under constant lighting mode. We're going to leave, you know what? Let's not do a default color. Let's do blue. And we have the brightness all the way up and the speed, which doesn't matter. I'm going to close it. So now I'm going to go ahead and first off, make sure we're exited from here, quit. So software's not running and we're still blue, which is great. I'm gonna go ahead into control panel. We're gonna uninstall it. Okay, it was successfully uninstalled. Now we're going to unplug it, 1 sec. All right, unplug it. Let's take it to a different machine. All right, now a completely different machine. We're gonna go ahead and lay it right here so you can see it. And all right, well, it doesn't have any memory, so it doesn't remember what had it last. So let me plug it in the other computer and see what happens. So now bringing it back to this computer, I'm curious to see, of course, if it's going to turn blue or rainbow again. Yeah. So it doesn't have any onboard memory. So if you want to keep the color, if you want to keep all the settings that you put on there, you need the software installed and it needs to be running. So the V380 headphones from our friends at Patriot, I think are a great pair of headphones, and the budget just makes it that much better. They have just about everything, if not everything, much higher priced headphones have, and they feel amazingly great. The cushion, I may not have mentioned before, the cushion on the headphones feels great. I did mention the cushion up here feels great as well. The way that it fits over your ears is incredibly comfortable. The microphone sounds great. The RGB lighting, great. All of the effects sound great as well. The only downfall, not for me, but for a lot of you, is you do need to install that software, but it's a tiny piece of software that, as you can see here, under processes, only takes about 43 megs. So it's not a tremendously large, it's not even a gig. It's pretty small. It's not taking up many resources and it does so much. But that 7.1 surround sound, enabling that, the look, I think that is awesome. Another downfall, aside from having to have the software installed, is the cable. If the cable bothers you, then, you know, maybe this isn't for you. The great thing about having a cable is you don't need to rely on batteries. God, I hate batteries with a passion. Now, mind you, having a cable all around here all the time can be a downfall, but just have it out of the way. It might bug you the first time, but out of the way, and then you forget about it. Anyway, that's my review on the V380 from our friends at Patriot. I think it's an awesome set of headphones. 2 downfalls that I see, but aside from that, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. Sounds amazing, and that is my favorite. All the voice things that you can do here are amazing as well. And if you don't care about voice, just pop, get rid of it, and it's not in your way. I'm incredibly curious to see what you think. Does this make you not want to buy it? Does the 43 megs or whatever it is now make you not want to buy it, that running process? Let me know down below. This is Iggy with This Bytes For You out. See you guys.